You are in your kitchen at 2 in the morning, turning on the light. A dark shape scurries across the counter toward the sink, gone before you blink. You find 3 more the next night, then 6, then you stop counting. By the end of the week, you are losing sleep over an insect. Roaches breed at a rate that collapses most people's nerves and most spray bottles. A single female German cockroach can birth 30 to 40 eggs every 3 weeks. At that speed, your home goes from "I saw 2" to "I see them everywhere" in 40 days. I have spent 20 years of my life stopping exactly this moment from spiraling into the walls of houses like yours. My father worked in pest ecology before me, and his method was not sprays or traps. It was something much older, much cheaper, and almost nobody knows it still works. Here is what you are going to do, and it costs less than $2 to change everything. You will mix borax powder, ordinary sugar, and a small amount of water into a paste. That paste becomes pellets. Those pellets become the mechanism that collapses the entire colony without a single spray can. I am going to show you the exact ratio that makes roaches unable to resist it. I will walk you through why the borax does what it does inside their bodies, and I will show you the detail that separates a scattered kill from a chain reaction that ends the infestation. But before you roll a single pellet, you need to understand one thing. Borax is a stomach poison. It does not kill in seconds. A roach eats the paste, returns to the nest, and dies within 48 to 72 hours inside the colony. And here is where it gets interesting. Roaches are cannibals. They consume their dead. They consume each other's waste. One poisoned roach becomes 10. 10 becomes 40. That multiplication is not an accident. It is the entire architecture of why this method works. Now, the placement of those balls is not random, and that is what most people get wrong first. Where you put them determines whether you kill a dozen roaches or dismantle the whole nest in under 4 weeks. Now you have your borax balls ready, and this is where placement decides everything. The roach does not forage in open space. It follows edges, always touching a wall. I call these paths highways, and every kitchen has them mapped for 20 years already. You are standing in your kitchen at night with the lights off. Turn on a red lamp. Roaches cannot see red, and watch one cross the floor. It does not go straight. It hugs the baseboard, the corner, anything solid. This is stigmotaxis. Their nervous system craves contact on both sides at once. Here is the first zone I place my balls, behind the refrigerator, where heat rises. Roaches prefer 80 to 90 degrees. The compressor zone is a breeding ground. The balls go on the floor, in the corner where the fridge meets the wall. Second zone, under the kitchen sink, in the back left corner where parps enter. Darkness, humidity from condensation, and the entry chase where roaches slip inside from outside. This cabinet kills more roaches per shot than anywhere else in the house. Third zone, behind and beneath the stove, where grease collects and heat pools. Roaches are drawn to both the temperature and the food residue burning below. Place 3 balls here, 1 per corner, 1 along the rear edge. Fourth zone, under the bathroom sink, same logic as the kitchen. Now, here is what most people miss. Roaches leave chemical pheromones on their runways, invisible markers that guide the whole colony. You are placing bait directly on trails they use every single night. The bait is not a trap. It is an ambush along a path they have already chosen. Within 10 to 12 feet of their harborage, they will find your balls during foraging. I place mine at the wall-floor junction, the corner of the corner, where they travel. Small pea-sized placements work better than one large glob in the middle of a shelf. Distribute them like breadcrumbs, not like bait stations you hope they will notice. And here is my honesty beat for this chapter. If you have ants in the kitchen, they will steal or contaminate your bait before roaches find it. You must deal with the ants first, or the roaches win the competition for your poison. Once the 4 zones are loaded, you have 12 hours before the evening surge. This is where your real work begins, but not the way you think. The balls are placed, the colony is on schedule, and now comes the rhythm that breaks them. With day 1 set up behind you, the pellets are resting in their zones, and here is where patience becomes your weapon. Most people think the work ends. It does not. It barely begins. What you do in the next 14 days determines whether you kill dozens or whether you collapse the entire nest. Here is the mechanism, and I need you to understand it completely. A German cockroach egg case, an Utica, hatches in 4 to 8 weeks, depending on warmth and humidity in your walls. But the nymphs that hatch are ravenous. They forage within days. Your bait sits on day 1. A roach finds it, eats it, dies in 3 to 10 days, slowly enough to carry the poison back to the colony. That is the cascade you set in motion. Now, the nymphs born in week 1 and week 2 of your bait cycle have never seen the pellets before. They are neophobic, cautious of new objects. But by week 2, they are foraging actively, and your original bait has degraded. The attractant scent has faded. Dust and moisture have weakened it. The poison has lost potency in the summer heat. This is where I learned my lesson the hard way. I waited 3 weeks once and lost momentum entirely. So here is what I do. Every 14 days, I walk the same 4 zones I showed you in day 1. Behind the refrigerator, under the sinks, behind the stove, the edges of your kitchen. I pull out what remains of the old bait. I check for dead roaches, dark specks, sometimes whole bodies if the population was heavy. Then I lay down fresh pellets, pea-sized, along the same highways. Why 14 days? Because a nymph hatches and begins foraging within 10 to 12 days of breaking free from the egg case. Fresh bait meets them before they mate, before they reproduce, before they become invisible. A 2-week cycle breaks the reproduction curve before it accelerates. In 4 weeks, you will see dramatic decline. In 8 to 12 weeks, the colony collapses. But that precision requires one more step, and I have not yet shown you the ingredient that makes roaches 10 times more drawn to your bait. With the 14-day cycle running, you are now ready for what truly multiplies the kill. Remember the twist I promised you at the very start. Here is the honest part. There is no secret Japanese ingredient, no hidden formula, no compound nobody in the West knows about. What matters is one small shift in how you build the bait itself. I learned this from my mother, who learned it from her pest control mentor in Osaka. The shift is texture, specifically the consistency of the paste when you form it. Most people make their borax bombs too dry, like crumbly sand. A roach will touch it, taste it, walk away uncertain. What I do is add just enough water that the mixture holds together like wet clay, slightly tacky, almost sticky, still moldable into a pea. This matters because roaches taste with their feet as they walk. A wet paste clings to their legs and body as they move. They will spend 10 minutes grooming themselves, ingesting borax with every lick. A dry bomb gets bitten once and dropped. The wet paste is ingested 5 to 10 times longer per encounter. That multiplication, that is your tenfold effect. It is not magic. It is mechanism. Now look at what we have walked through together. The borax ball bomb gave you the lethal core. Borax as stomach poison, sugar as the bait. The placement protocol showed you how thigmotaxis works. Roaches follow walls and you intercept them there. The timing cycle revealed that 14 days breaks their breeding rhythm before nymphs mature. And texture, the wet paste, turns each contact into an extended poisoning. 4 ideas, 4 layers, 1 outcome. In 2 weeks, when you refresh those placements, you will start to notice fewer roaches visible at night, longer stretches of silence under the sink. The fecal spotting fades. The aggregation pheromone scent, that musty sweetness, begins to thin. By week 8, the colony has collapsed. You have won. Now I want to know, in your own kitchen, what was the first sign that the bombs were working? Was it silence? Was it the bodies you found? Or was it simply the absence of that one roach you saw every night? I read every comment you leave, and I mean that. Tell me what you saw when the night finally went quiet.